Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. How are you this morning? I almost missed it. I need a coffee or something. It's been a busy weekend. Today is going to be a catch-up for us. I am so backed up with things to tell you, things to show you, things. So, welcome back, everybody. I'm Deanna at Ribbon Candy Hooking. I think we probably have some new people on this morning. It was a teaching weekend for me this weekend, so I will tell you all about that. We have some brainstorming to do, you and I. We need to figure stuff out, think of stuff, brainstorm, work together on a couple things, because my brain is going 1,000 miles an hour at least. It normally goes like 999, and today it's going 1,000. Kirsten, great to see you. You know, I was laughing at myself this weekend. I did a lot of driving, and you know, I was thinking about that whole thing last weekend with the AFA meeting and the remark I overheard about somebody talking about somebody else's channel and how the greetings were just too much and too many and too long and lots of superlatives. And I butted in and said, oh, that makes me wonder, because I always do greetings on my show, and I always have, because at the beginning there was just a few of us, and now there's quite a few of us, and then in the evening there's quite a lot more people watching. And I feel like I still feel like we're such a small group that it's worth saying hello, and I want to say hello. And that whole idea of not saying hello and doing my greetings lasted, I think, one episode. I got such feedback against it. People saying, Christine, you were the main sort of propagator behind that, because, it got me thinking about how much I love to log on and to see you all and to see what you're saying and to respond. Because for us on this show, it's about getting together. And even if you watch this later, you watch it tonight, you watch it next week, you watch it next year, it's still a community. And I hope that if you can, you log in sometime and say hi too, because I would love to say hi to you too. It's just nice to know that you're there. It's not a busy kind of a show, is it? It's for us. And I do a lot of videos that are 5 minutes and under videos and simple how-tos, and that's really it's for us too, but also for a different group of people. I'm so happy that I'm back to greeting, because I missed it. I missed it in that one episode. I really did. Penny, it's great to see you. It is dreary in North Carolina. It's dreary here too. It's a bit like overcast, but it's still super humid. What is it? Monk's cloth. It's super humid still. It's a bit of a punishing day here in New England. Catherine, great to see you in Idaho. Would you love some more rain there? See, isn't this crazy the way the rain thing is going? Because we have gotten so slammed with rain in this part of the country that I keep saying to myself, I don't want to hear anything about sprinklers and drought. This has been the most miserably wet summer that I can ever remember. To the extent that I haven't even made it we've been on vacation and we've done adventures, but I haven't brought the kids to the ocean for a day trip yet, because it seems to rain every time it's a possibility. So it just goes to show different parts of the country, completely different weather problems. Man, do I wish we could share some of the moisture with Idaho, because it has been wacky wet. And Joy, good to see you. Happy Monday. Linda, happy Monday. Good to see you. I'm going to tell you about the class. It did go really well. Tara, great to see you. I love to see you. Cynthia, good to see you in South Texas. And Donna, you're on in Alberta, from Smoky, Alberta. Yeah. Man, it's so varied, isn't it? Robin in Wisconsin, great to see you. Barbara, great to see you. I'm working on your order now. And April, good afternoon. Great to see you. Cindy, good morning. Andrea, hi, how are you? Good to see you and welcome. Oh, Jenny, welcome. Great to see you. You made a live show. Fantastic. That's fantastic. Heather, I miss you. Good to see you. And Dave, you are on. Happy Monday. Chrissy, I love you. Happy to see you. Happy Monday. Happy coffee time. Super overcast, Liza in Dallas. We are getting a mixed bag, huh? I got my Nancy Drew shirt on here. Mixed bag. So, it was a busy weekend here. I ended up doing the first class on Cape Cod, and Dennis on Cape Cod at Salt Yarn. It's a yarn, it's a nice yarn store for people who knit and stuff. And she has a long list of people on the Cape, mostly on the Cape, who are on her mailing list, email list, all that stuff. And so the class was like 10 people, which was a full class, which was great. And I got there I got there early. I won't get into the details. I wanted to get set up a little bit earlier, but they were right busy with people coming in, dropping in knitting right up to the time. So it was a bit of a frantic thing on my part, but we got settled, and our main problem was that the air conditioner in the room was broken. This sounds like a first world problem, but it was, I don't know if Kira is on, because she was there. It had to be high 80s, low 90s in the room. And, 4 hours, it was a lot. It was very close quarters. It was hard. I don't do well with heat. My stomach is like a machine. It glug, 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 glug. I was so sorry that I had a huge Portuguese meat sandwich an hour before the class because I was suffering. But it was a wonderful class, and I felt it was a wonderful class. I did rug hooking first. It was rug hooking and punch needles, so both with yarn because of the yarn store. So it was a great class. I think the class cost $125 all in all. That's with her amount added. So I made small versions. I don't think I have them right here, but a small version of the Zentangle Turtles and a smaller version of the Devil's. This is a corner of it. Devil's Purse or Mermaid's Purse, the seaweed design, geometric. We did the Devil's Purse geometric as a rug hooking pattern, and I gave everybody, big set of little balls. I think there was 24 different little colors in it to do like a hit or miss pattern behind the sort of antique black Devil's Purses. And, I really thought I gave everybody, the class came with the full set to do the little Devil's Purse like this big. So quite big, and then the full set to do the Zentangle Turtle, which was cropped, but it was still quite big. All those pastels, everything hand dyed, and the Joan Moshimer hook, and the punch needle that I stock, and a hoop. And it was what's it called? Not Susan Burr, Bates, right? Susan Bates, is that the hoopla hoops, the no slips? They're supposed to be the best ones, the 8-inch ones. So everybody got those. And when I started the class, for those of you that are rug hookers, you'll appreciate this. I thought, you know what, let me start with rug hooking because I feel, hey, Janice, you are not late. You are great. Hey, Jennifer, good to see you. Oh, I noticed some of you ordered bingo cards. Don't let me forget to mention that at the end. I started with rug hooking because I just feel in general like it's a little bit easier because you're looking at your work rather than looking at the reverse like you do when you start a punch needle project. I thought, look at your work, pulling loops up. It's a little bit, I think, more intuitive and easy to start off with. So I started off with with rug hooking, and we did the Devil's Purse. And I thought, man, this is going to be rough, people hooking with a hoop, because when you're a hooker, most people feel it's easier to work on a frame. Some people work on the dining room table or their lap. Some people forever work in a hoop or a quilting hoop or something like that. Anything stepped with a bottom, is for me easier because that left hand when you're hooking is blind under your backing, feeding the in this case yarn or wool strips up, and your top hand that you can see is pulling loops. And I thought hey Anita, hey Jenny, I thought this is going to be tough with the hoop, but it is what it is. For that amount of money, obviously I'm not giving everybody a rug hooking frame. So I thought this is going to be hard, and wouldn't you know it, the rug hooking went so easy. For the first couple hours, people were with the hoopla hoop, rug hooking, pulling up loops like you wouldn't believe. Everybody got a good part of their piece done, much more than I ever thought possible. A full motif with some hit or miss going in the background, choosing different colors, having lots of fun, chatting, remarking on how easy and relaxing it was. And I thought, what a reversal of what I thought, right? Because I thought, for punch needle, using the hoop is going to be no problem because you're punching down and you're kind of resting your hoop on the edge of the table. You're punching down. You don't need that hand underneath. You're just punching down. It was actually the opposite. The rug hooking turned out to be so much easier. And then when we got to the punch needle with the hoop, everybody struggled with punch. 2 or 3 out of 10 people really struggled with keeping the loops in. And I thought about it afterward, and I thought I really shouldn't have done it in that order. I should have done it the other way around because I felt like we broke on a frustrating note with just a few people. Really, the people who got the punch just intuitively, don't pick up your needle at all. You got to scrape right across until you feel the tip hit the next hole, all the way to the shaft, scrape all the way, no lifting up, keep it tight as a drum, all of this classic stuff. But I felt the people who weren't getting it right out of the gate with the kind of heat that was happening and sort of physical discomfort were getting super triggered, and I felt so sorry that they weren't having more success right away. So I'm going to look into that more. I hooked for a long time using just a hoop. Yeah, Catherine, it's completely possible. Some people will always use a hoop. Always. It really depends on your body, how you sit, what your posture's like, good or bad. Just the way that you sit, I think, dictates what's comfortable for hooking or punching. So it can be so different from person to person. People buying these super expensive frames, beautiful frames like the Snapdragon, just not working for them. And it's going to be different from body to body. Every body, every set of hands is going to feel differently once you get into that groove of working. Your body works in a certain way. Maybe mine works like this, yours works like this, someone else like that. Just a hair of a difference makes a huge difference to the kind of equipment that's going to fit you best. Between here and here, between here and here, you know, between here and here on your lap, wherever you're sitting. I often sit with my legs up, so I don't have a lot of room on my lap. I don't want something tall too close to my face. There's so many variables. But it was remarkably hard to get success with the punch, and I felt awful. And I think what I'm going to do before the next punch class is I was using the fine punches because we were punching with 2-ply, which I feel is just easier to do to get momentum going. But I think I'm going to order the regular size needles as opposed to the fine needles, because that thicker yarn going into the backing, harder to put in, harder to punch in each punch, but more likely to stay and get some traction going. It's hard, it's frustrating, and that sort of physical problem of being uncomfortable was a bit worrying for me, but I think it went. I felt like I did the best that I could do. I gave a lot of information. I even demoed for like literally 3 minutes, tracing something on fiber tape. Someone wanted to do their own pattern. I showed how to do that. I showed using the Sissics too for people that were interested in switching over to wool strips. So I demonstrated a lot of other things that were just extra information, just hemorrhaging information, putting as much out there for whoever was interested in what parts. So Sue says, I stand at the kitchen counter when I rug hook. Interesting. See, everybody is so different. It's hard to do a uniform thing. And with these beginner classes, I want to keep the price really low because I want beginners to come flooding into the craft. So I want to meet my expenses, make a tiny amount on each student, a tiny amount, and get people going. Because I figure if they get going and they get some traction and they get some happiness, and confidence, they'll be coming back and shopping with me or with someone else, but sooner or later, everybody. So yeah, it was a bit frustrating. And I was also, I'm going to say it, I'm not going to be specific, but I was also looking at my monk's cloth, and I always order monk's cloth from the same place, and I really feel, well, I know, looking at the monk's cloth that I was just sent, that I was using, and the last order of monk's cloth, it's not the same monk's cloth. It's from the same place, and it's monk's cloth. And it's like the large, wholesale amount, but it's not the same monk's cloth. And as soon as I'm done with this video, going to experiment with that monk's cloth, because there are, among monk's cloths, as we know, not just the wrong one from Joann's and Amazon, but among rug hooking monk's cloth, there is different monk's cloth. And that can be hugely problematic. Because I happen to know, I love Honey Beehive and I love their products, and they're in Connecticut too, and they have a vast catalog of great patterns, including the Jane McGowns. But for me, their monk's cloth is not good for punching because it's much too soft and sort of floppy and silky and shiny. I can't use it to punch at all. So it is different from product to product, company to company, but it's very worrying for me as a supplier and someone who's currently got so many classes on the calendar, to get a different product from one shipment to the next. That is a bit worrying. So I'm fooling with that. Say a little prayer for me that I figure that out, because I'm worried about getting that settled and getting more people really going on punch too. There's no reason why in an hour or two people shouldn't get some loops in there and start thinking, I got this. There's no reason. So I'm going to figure that one out. Andrea says, I'm getting ready to purchase a frame, but I'm not sure which one to get. The hoop is just too small. So Andrea, there is a frame. Everybody should chime in with your ideas. I'm going to start selling a frame on my site, but at this moment, if you Google on Etsy rug hooking frame, there is a frame that comes up. I think it's called Bear, maybe Bear Creek, like Bear the animals, Bear something. It's a rectangular frame. It's a good size. It's not enormous, but it's not small. I think it rotates, it turns, tilts. And when I looked at it during the class, it was $49.99 free shipping. Now that's really good. That's really good. I use an octagon frame that tips and tilts and turns because I turn it like the wheel of a captain's wheel on a ship constantly. I'm not even left-handed, and I'm constantly sort of rejigging and moving. I don't even keep it locked in real tight. I keep it real loose so I can just keep turning it as I go. And when I lean on it just a little bit to get some little area, it moves with me because it's not locked tight. So I'm a person who, as I go, hooking or punching, I'm constant, not moving the piece on the combs. I'm working on a large octagon, and I'm just constantly turning it like a lazy Susan and getting to different areas. And when I must, I take a break and pull it off and put it back on, and all of that. This is my frame right here. This is one I love, but but this is a much more expensive frame. That's more like $100-$120, which is still not crazy. But the one that's $49.99 that's on Etsy, when you Google just rug hooking frame, is a great frame, and I highly recommend it. It's a great frame, and I'm not even going to call it a beginner frame because I think once you start using a frame like that, it's not enormous. If you end up doing floor rugs, you might be shopping for a floor frame or a Chetty Camp frame. You might be looking more at punch and looking at one of Amy Oxford's big, flat ones that you put down on the table and just punch. Good kitchen counter item. There's so many things that you can go to, but I would start with a frame that is as good as that. For $50 free shipping. That's a frame that I would go to and travel with always. I would never sell that on or get rid of my rectangular frame. I'm very happy with that size and the tilting. So highly recommend. But again, everybody should chime in and let me know. Okay, my back is getting her. Yeah, Suze, that's the thing. All this, it's good to talk about this sort of ergonomic stuff because everybody is different. It is so, I think, sloppy on my part to lay on the couch and hook. I don't hook that often right now because of busyness, but when I do, when you sit anywhere, whether it's an armchair, the couch, kitchen table, you sit long enough and it's going to become uncomfortable. I don't think there's any way around that. I think the thing is to try to find a few spots around the house where you can still be part of the action of the house. There's other people around, there's TV going, movies playing, music happening. You want to be part of that because you can with this hobby. But it is so important to be aware when you start aching and hurting because if you're aching and hurting right now, today, tomorrow is probably going to be even more achy hurty. And for me, the second day is usually the worst. If you start getting aches and pains 2 days later, you really feel it. So try to be conscious about the stuff with your back, the stuff with the back of your neck. For me, with my feet up on the couch and one hand in a bag of Doritos, the other one hooking and punching, I get a lot in the back of the knees. It's just too much weight with the frame pressing down on the back, the underside of my knees. So I have to think about that because then my knees hurt for walking the next day. Crazy rug hooking injury when your knees start to hurt. But then people in the class this weekend complained as big knitters that their hands were hurting from knitting. When knitting, there isn't a lot of variety. There isn't a lot that you can do to change the motion of knitting. If you're a knitter, you know this. Your hands, however they settle, you're doing your purls, you're doing your whatever stitches you're doing, and your hands are basically in the same place, catching the yarn and moving it to the other needle. And there's not much you can do about that. And I feel, again, we're very lucky with rug hooking, punch, latch, whatever you do, that there are ways that you can move your body and even move your hands and change your equipment to have more success with managing pain and the accumulation of pain and soreness. And one of the things, of course, that we can do as rug hookers is change your frame, change your seat, change where you're sitting, and even change your hook, change your supplies, change your hook. Some people go to that big pear hook with the big round end. Some people will switch to holding it like this rather than holding it like a pen or move to a pen hook. There's so many different ways that you can switch out your equipment to technically change the activity, change where you're sitting to physically change the activity, and change your supplies just in terms of if you are having that much pain. For example, if you're hooking more than punching, it might be that your backing is too tight. You're using very wide strips on a very tight backing and you've been doing it for a long time. Sooner or later, that is going to, for me, that hurts in here. That is going to do it. And then there are times when it's too late, but you need to question, do I need to take a break? Because in this case, I might have my numbers off. The width of my strip or the thickness of my yarn might be too much for this tight backing if it's like monk's cloth or rug warp. So for us, there's so many things that you can play with to get relief. But for a person who knits, That's kind of rough. It's like you hit a cul-de-sac, and then what do you do? Jennifer, what did you just say? My mom knits a lot and uses her compression gloves when her hands hurt. That's a good one. Compression gloves. That's a good one. Jenna says, I love hooking on a floor frame. So I think when you hook on a floor frame in general, your posture is going to be a lot better, right? Because you're sitting right up and you can afford to be more conscious of it. My posture is like a prawn, like a giant shrimp on the couch, nestled into cushions, you know. So that it's not going to be good as long as I continue to sit that way and work that way. But when you know you're doing something naughty, you also have the chance to change it, right, and improve it. But have to have one. Yeah, correct chair, all of these things. Correct lighting, too, for your eyes, right? All of this stuff you play with over time. This isn't stuff you need to think about as a beginner, because I know there's some beginners on. Don't think about these things as a beginner. As things go along, never say to yourself, if you're a rug hooker, you know, I don't think I can do this craft anymore because my hand hurts or my knee hurts or my back hurts or my neck hurts. There are going to be ways within this craft that you can combat that. And you can change so many aspects of it and have success defeating the pain. It can work. So I was very happy to catch this group of knitters this weekend who were trying something new because their hands were starting to hurt from knitting. And they thought, you know what, different motion, different activity, still creative, still working in textile, it could work. And everybody who was, hey Diane, everyone who was coming from that sort of point of that place, said, you know, this is working great. It's not hitting me in the same part of my hand. This is going to work. So I thought that's really positive. Lilac Bow, good to see you. Bee Creek customized my setup. Very high quality for a reasonable price. Bee Creek, that's a great tip. Thank you for typing that in there. That is really good. Liza says, sometimes I sit at the table and rest the frame on the table. A better height for me, not leaning over so much. That's it, isn't it? Depending on the kind of frame you have and the height. Like my small frame that I travel with, it's a very small frame, it's very low. So that's a great one for the table. But if I were to put my octagon on the table, it's a much bigger frame and then it would be way too close to my face. You just figure it out, don't you? And never underestimate the awesomeness of an old-time card table that the legs pull out from underneath. You don't have to play bridge on it. You can do your hooking on it. It's a little bit lower than a regular table. It's a bit of an eyesore, but it's fun to find those nice old card tables. Sometimes you find them wooden or painted, you know, just leather. Those are fun to work on too. So all of these things are things you can think about and play with. So having said that, there's another class coming up in August. I don't have my phone near me, but at the same place, Dennis, Cape Cod. You know, a few of the ladies asked if the class is already half full, so there's only a few spots left. But a few of the ladies asked if I was doing the same two patterns in August, the Zentangle Turtles and the Devil's Purse. And I spoke to the shopkeeper, Julia, and said, what do you think? Should we, you know, spin out and do something different? And she said, you know what, why don't we do different stuff? Because it might be that some people want to repeat. And just thinking about it being later in August, I might want to get away from the nautical stuff, right? Because if it takes a little while to finish your piece and you've got 2 nautical pieces going, sort of seaside pieces, great for summer. But in the middle of August, you might not finish them until September. And then you don't, it's a little less, I think, special having a bunch of like sea images around. When you get into the fall. So I'm looking at, for the classes that are coming in later in August, like this one, like the one in Madison, like the one that's coming up in Vermont. There's one coming up in Maine in Kennebunkport, the last weekend of August. For these classes, I'm thinking about doing more autumn themes, not super in-your-face Halloween, because I know that's not for everybody, but more harvesty autumn themes and more sort of primitive themes. And, oh shoot, I wanted to bring my 2 things over. I am such a cruckanaka. Oh well, I'll grab them at the end if we have time. But yeah, I wanted to show you those 2 images I did last week. I hooked the little fox, and I hooked, I'll run over and get them in a minute, and I hooked the swan party, the 2 swans that my daughter drew, and I'm real happy with those, so I'm thinking about offering those as possibilities too. So all those things coming up. But in the meantime, I want to remind you that this Friday night is bingo night, and the theme is Kara, what did she call the theme? It's like everything living. That's not the theme. It was much catchier, but plants and animals. I'm going to say plants and animals. Anything alive that you've hooked, please send it to Kira. I put her address in the thread, the description of this video, and the link to buy your bingo cards for Friday night. If you're new to us, this is our monthly bingo game. I would like to see as many of your images on that bingo card as possible. I want to remind you that this is the first bingo night that I'm going to do a much smaller card. I think the bingo's been going too long for me and for you. It's just too long. And I thought, since we aren't actually playing bingo, why do I need to have the sort of standardized bingo card with 16 calls, right? Because that makes for a lot. I'm going to do a 4x4 bingo card, and I'm going to have something like 35 calls as opposed to 60. So it's going to be, the show is probably going to be an hour to an hour and 15 minutes long. And for those of you who will be joining us for the first time, the link again is in the description. If you go to Ribbon Candy Hooking, you can buy a bingo card for Friday night. They're $3 each. We obviously cannot outright gamble, right? That would be super, super naughty. But what you can do is buy a card or multiple cards. You buy as many as you think you can play at once. Some people buy literally 10 cards. But we pool, one card should win. And of the winning cards, you know, say 4 people win, the money is split between the sales of all the cards. I don't keep any aside. All of it goes into the kitty, into the pool, and it's split and divided between the people who have played. And it's usually, I don't understand math. I won't even pretend like I sort of do. It's usually about, I want to say $33, $35 for the winners. So sometimes people have 2 winning cards, and that's a lot of money because then you spend it at the Ribbon Candy Hooking store. And whether you want my patterns or not, you could get wool, you could get bare wool, like white blank. You could get supplies like monk's cloth, hooks, punch needles, stuff like that, any kind of weaver's cloth, rug warp. You could get basic supplies, or you could get a kit or anything at all in the store. So that's what's happening on Friday night. It starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will post all of that, and it's literally a bingo game. We play blackout. You need to get all of the calls on the card, and I'll remind you on Friday night that it's not like a directional bingo. You get all the calls on the card, and we use the wheel of fortune I have, spinning it, and I show you. I'll make a call showing a rug. If it's your rug, for example, that you sent in, I'll say, oh, so-and-so made this rug. The pattern is by whoever, or they designed it themselves. Something interesting, and we say, oh, what a beautiful rug. We're looking at rugs and we're playing bingo at the same time. It's a lot of fun. Oh, good, Penny. Good. Kira's working on it this morning. I know that because she just sent me a message. Lilac bow. My customized frame allows for different heights of chairs. Oh, that's fantastic. Even standing for using vintage speed shuttles. Isn't that fun? So much fun. That is great information. Kirsten says, here are the details for submitting. Thank you. Kirsten, perfect. The rug hooking bingo. Thank you. So yes, please do that sooner rather than later because Kira's starting to put the cards together today. That's bingo. And again, I wanted to show you, people are already buying this ice cream pattern. I'm not finished mine, but it's already for sale. Diane has already sent the velvet. Thank you, Diane, for the background. All of this you're seeing in the background is mixed colors of velvet from the velvet hook. Diane dyed this for us for this pattern. Beautiful sort of shades of pink, light pink, raspberry, a touch of kind of lighter colors and melon colors. And I've dyed 24 colors for the scoops because it goes, this isn't the whole thing, it's buried under here. There's 25 colors of scoops in the composition. It's 2 cornucopias side by side. And for every of the 25 colors is a darker shade, a darker value. So it's actually 50 colors of ice cream plus the velvet. And this is the color that I settled on for the cornucopia waffle cone. I hooked that last night. You don't have to hook it the same way as me. I hooked it like a bit of a basket weave, like it's a woven. So you hook it however you want. It could go dark to light, a little bit of chocolate right at the edge of the cone. You hook it however you want, but that's the sort of color combo that I settled on. It's cool. It's something different. You know, I wanted to do something different for the cornucopia comb. So that is that. I also wanted to tell you, God, this episode's gone by so fast. See, when we get chatting, it just goes crazy. I also wanted to remind you, I'm starting to send out the dye boxes for the August dyeing class, which is the Summer of Love. And I want to show you, because people have been asking what exactly, I list what comes in the box, right? I list what comes in the box that I ship to you. I'm going to actually show you what comes in the box. if you are interested in dyeing, I don't want to sound all crazy and doomsday. This dyeing class, the Summer of Love, is I think $95. It's on Ribbon Candy Hooking right now. If you are in Canada and you want to take the class, you need to order it quickly because I want to be sure I can get it to you really quickly. But this is definitely the last month that I'm having this class, any dye class at this price, because it is, I'm wondering if I'm even breaking even at this point with 95. So I don't mean to sound like Vincent Price, all creepy and scary, but I realized as I was putting this together that this is a crazy set. So if you are interested in dyeing and you are on a budget, please sign up this month because I will be bumping it up next month. This kit, we're dyeing 3 full skeins of Briggs & Little 3-ply wool, and we're dyeing 3 long quarters of door wool, right? So you're getting, this is 2, I'm just going through the box to show you. You're getting, these are the 2 in here, 1 in here, full skeins of Briggs & Little. And I've already opened it up and put your zip ties on it, so you don't have to fool with zip ties and figure 8s. These are all zip tied, ready to go into the dye bath. And then you've got your pouch with 3 long quarters of door wool. This is natural door wool, so this is 3/4 a yard of door wool. And then you've got this pouch that has your mask, just in case you didn't have a mask, your gloves, a full pouch of citric acid. This is a vial of Synthropol, which will last you months because you literally need a drop. This is some twine. Right here, the white stuff, that's 5 yards of twine for tying stuff up. That's one of our techniques. We're doing 6 different techniques in this class. And a bunch of elastics for doing the tie-dye. We're doing 1 tie-dye technique. 10 wooden spoons for sort of siphoning out your dye. Those are 10 individual spoons. And then you've got 4 pots of colors, though, and this is loose dye to use the spoons with. Nightshade, mahogany, persimmon, and lime, like a bright lime. And then I've got a bunch of bottles going, and I've already put the dye into the bottle. It's sealed on top with the metal seal. This is navy, and you've got berry, purple pop, intense blue, razzle dazzle, robin's egg, Sprite safety vest orange, and radioactive. All of this is in the kit. All of these are prepped, right? And you're just adding hot water, and we just do our 6 techniques, 3 on wool, 3 on wool yarn for the class. So it's a lot of supplies. It's a lot. And I just want to point out for those of you who don't like bright colors, that's the reason I added mahogany and navy to this set, because the other colors are psychedelic colors, and the whole thing is based on the posters from the Summer of Love, right? Psychedelic. But if you don't like psychedelic colors and you still want to take the dye class and have all these supplies, I added navy and mahogany, which is more toward like a wine. So you can always, if you finish your stuff and say, it's all too bright for me, I don't like K-facet colors, right? I don't like Summer of Love colors. You can always over dye and tint so that you get something. You add the navy, you end up with something super moody for a sky or a nighttime. And if you add the mahogany, you get something super sort of burnished, rusty, like a autumn landscape. So those 2 colors are in there as safeties so that however it goes during this dye class, you end up with 3/4 yards of fabric and 3 full skeins of wool for hooking or punching that you absolutely love and can't live without. So part of what we do in the class is doctor it up. Oh, so yes, please give a thumbs up. I'm going to sign off in a minute. Let me just catch up on what we're doing here. Kirsten gave the details. Tara says, please give a thumbs up. Thank you, Tara. These videos are fun, but I could use the exposure on Facebook, YouTube for sure. Our Facebook group is Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club, incidentally. Diane says, a Velvet Creek says, I have Turtle Creek, not made anymore, but think there's something similar. Folks up, reasonable, doesn't rotate, but like it very much. Okay, talking about frames. And Lila Bo says, great movie, Maudie on Amazon. Great, The Life of Maud Lewis. That is great. And you also just reminded me I need to put up the next design class, designing like Maud Lewis and Grandma Moses. I'm going to put that up hopefully later today. I've been busy all weekend with teaching, but I'm going to get all these things going for you. So if you are interested in doing your own rug designs in the style of Maud Lewis or Grandma Moses, or Helen Bradley, remember the other one I showed the other day, the British folk artist. Those three folk artists who began working at a quite advanced age, all three of them. If you are interested in that, be looking out for that. I'll certainly put it in the post for tomorrow. All of the things I just mentioned for the weekend, over the weekend, all these things that are up and available now are on the Ribbon Candy Hooking site and should be links in this video. So tomorrow I want to start looking at, I wanted to show you some of the rugs I got last weekend that I haven't had time to show you yet. I want to show you those. I want to remind you that the Van Gogh Chair Challenge is underway. I'll talk more about this tomorrow. Kirsten gave me the great idea that I'm already working on for people who are working on the Van Gogh Chair Challenge, which will be an actual physical exhibit if you're interested in participating in that. It doesn't matter where you are. I'm going to take rugs from everywhere and find a great venue for us to display them depending on how large it gets. Will depend on what the venue will be. But any size Van Gogh chair, this is in the Facebook group. I'll mention it again tomorrow, but Kirsten came up with a great idea of putting out a set of supplies for people who are doing the Van Gogh Challenge. Because Van Gogh was so famously in love with the colors blue and yellow, and therefore orange, right? That was like his holy trinity of his painting palette. So I am working on putting together a small sort of set, a very manageable, economical set, a mix of different wools for lots of variety, and yarns, right? A real mixture, so that if you are doing the Van Gogh Challenge and you feel like you need a bit of a Van Gogh color pop, that's true to his palette, not that it has to be. It can be black and white, it can be cartoony, it can be fuchsia, it can be anything. But I am in the process of putting together that set. Kirsten, thanks for the great idea. That is brilliant. Just to have those basic Van Gogh colors to start with and then play off of course. You can spin out wildly from there. So anyway, thank you so much for being on. Tomorrow I'm going to pick up my book about Midwest hookers, and we're going to start talking about the history of hooking in the Midwest and transition into the history of the bed rug, because that particular book on the history of hooking in the Midwest covers the bed rug, I think, in really interesting detail. Not huge detail, but interesting things I had not read before. And I can kind of pair that with the book that I showed you last week that I want to cover too on bed rugs, on like hooked bed rugs. So we're going to do that. This week I'm going to run Coffee Time Monday today, Tuesday, and Bingo on Friday. So I'm doing one less episode this week. I'm planning to do Zoom as always on Thursday, but I will let you know. I need to catch up a little bit with doing more teaching in person right now, and also wanting to spend time with my little ones. It's getting crazy. So for this week for sure, I'm running Coffee Time today, Tuesday, and Bingo Night Friday. But stay tuned tomorrow, because that could change. I'm certainly going to be on tomorrow. But at the moment, that's what I'm thinking for this week, just to try to catch up with some other stuff. So, hey, I will see you soon. I hope you have a great day. I hope the weather is nice to you, because it seems like we're all getting a bit of the blah weather today. And I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow, doing a more commentary-based show tomorrow, talking about hooking in the Northwest. Have a great day, everybody. Look out for the links I just mentioned. Get those bingo images into Kira on the email, and get those bingo cards printed before Friday. You will receive the bingo cards not today or tomorrow. We have to first put them together, but we'll probably send them out Wednesday or Thursday for sure. So you have time before Friday to print your bingo cards so you can play with us live on Friday night. I will see you then. Have a great day, everybody. It was so nice catching up. More tomorrow. Have a great day.